Levi Dexter. How are you doing, Levi?
Great. Thank you, James. How are you doing?
Man, I am doing so good. And, you know, I don't like to use the word legend, but in this case, absolutely, man. You guys, what you did in the 70s just really transformed, rock and roll and rockabilly as we know it today. And we're going to dig into a lot of that. It's great to have you on the show.
It's a pleasure to be here. It really is.
Well, now, in reading about you, and it's definitely something I resonated with because I was born in '69. I grew up in the 70s, but I was just fascinated by early rock and roll and rockabilly in particular, and really couldn't get enough of it and dug into it. And that seemed to be something that you fell in love with early on. It's something that still continues to this day. Who were some of your early influences?
Well, obviously I was born in 57, so through my childhood I grew up with the BBC radio, which pretty much through the 60s was still playing on one of the BBC channels, 50s music. A lot of pop, but also some rock and roll mixed in. I immediately got hooked on rock and roll, particularly at the time as a young boy. Bill Haley and the Comets were my therapy. I mean, when I came home from school, if I had a bad day or whatever, as soon as I put that on, I felt good. So he was my number one growing up as a really young boy. And obviously Elvis, Gene Vincent, Eddie Cochran. Because back then, it wasn't really rockabilly. It was sort of 50s oldies but goodies. I was pretty much immersed into, what you think of as rock and roll, what you normally would hear as big hits, golden hits of the 50s kind of thing. It wasn't until later that rockabilly came on the scene for us. Those were my main influences. When I was a young boy, probably about 7, 8 years old, I was given a record player by a friend of my mother's and a huge bag of 45s and 78, and I immediately put them into two separate piles, the pile that rocked and the pile that didn't. And from then on, daily, I played my rock and roll. And that was it for me. But really, the feel-good thing as a young boy was Bill Haley and the Comets. I loved it so much.
Absolutely.
And I saw Bill Haley and the Comets. I went to the London Wembley Rock and Roll show in '72, and that was my first ever, concert. And they had Bill Haley and the Comets and everybody else, Little Richard, Jerry Lee Lewis, Billy Fury, a whole slew of all day of pretty much the best that was still around of the 50s guys. It was pretty funny because everybody, as they came off the plane, said, Jerry Lee said, "I'm the king of rock and roll," and then the next day, Little Richard would come off saying, "I'm the king of rock and roll."
Yeah.
And then Chuck Berry was there, "I'm the king of rock and roll." And of course, Elvis was the king, but he wasn't coming. There was rumors he was coming, but he didn't.
Yeah.
He didn't. The colonel wouldn't let him come and do it. So, that was the beginning of really getting out there to see what I could see as far as the guys from the 50s. It started in '72 for me.
On your mark.
On your mark.
Get set.
Get set.
Now ready.
Ready. Go.
Everybody razzle dazzle. Everybody razzle dazzle. Everybody razzle dazzle. If it's all night long. Now here's a dance.
A walk-a-doo, walk-a-doo.
Everyone can do.
A walk-a-doo, walk-a-doo.
It's the hipsters dance.
A walk-a-doo, walk-a-doo.
And the square cats too.
A walk-a-doo, walk-a-doo.
Won't you take a chance?
A walk-a-doo, walk-a-doo.
This is all you do.
A walk-a-doo, walk-a-doo.
You just take your baby. Don't you leave that spot. Then you dance like crazy. Give it all you got. That's the razzle dazzle. If you're ready or not. On your mark.
On your mark.
Get set.
Get set.
Now ready.
Ready. Go.
Everybody razzle dazzle. Everybody razzle dazzle. Everybody razzle dazzle. If it's all night long. Your best foot forward.
Walk-a-doo, walk-a-doo.
Baby, can't you see?
Baby, can't you see?
When you hear them holler, and you ain't nowhere, honey, you just follow, 'cause we're sure not square. the Razzle Dazzle. Well, it's everywhere. On your mark, get set, now ready,
go!
everybody razzle dazzle, everybody razzle dazzle, everybody razzle dazzle, if it's all night long. Everybody razzle dazzle, everybody razzle dazzle, everybody razzle dazzle. I'm on and on, if it's all night long. That's the razzle dazzle song.
Bill Haley and the Comets with Razzle Dazzle, released in 1955, and a favorite from our guest, Levi Dexter. Now, Levi talks about his early performing days when he would get up on the stage and jam with some of his favorites at the time. Here's Levi.
About 74, I grew up in London, in the Chelsea area, kind of a posh area of London.
Yeah.
My mother moved us out to Essex in England, which is a big teddy boy town. So I already knew from about 72, I knew that basically I grew up off of the King's Road, which is a trendy road for, it's kind of like Melrose is in Hollywood or something. But Malcolm McLaren had a teddy boy shop just around the corner from where I lived. So 72 onwards, I would go and hang out. He had a big jukebox. It was free to play the jukebox, and all the Teds went there on the weekend. And it was kind of a good thing, and I just went, this teddy boy thing's awesome. And then when I moved to Essex, to Southend-on-Sea, it was a full-on teddy boy town. There was more teddy boys than any other of the counterculture sort of things. So they were pretty much self-policing the seaside, because it's a Victorian seaside town. And on the holiday weekends, it would be swamped with thousands of people coming up, because it's the closest seaside to London. And so a lot of people came up to cause trouble on the weekends, and particularly the holiday weekends. So there wasn't enough place, so the teddy boys would pretty much self-police it and keep things under control. And then I realized that there was a place in town that they all went to. After about 6 or 7 times of trying to get in, being too young, eventually I got in because I agreed to roadie for the DJ there. So that got me in, and I was able to really hear lots and lots of music that I hadn't heard. It went beyond the oldies but goodies. Suddenly there was more obscure stuff that I was hearing. They had bands. I started seeing Crazy Cavan and the Rhythm Rockers and Flying Saucers and the Right Rockers and things like that. And that's when I started to jam. I was in the audience watching Crazy Cavan, singing along with them as they played, and then eventually Cavan said, well, why don't you just come up and do a couple of songs?
Yeah.
And then I jammed with them, and then it got to where they would always call me up. And then I jammed with Flying Saucers, and that got a regular thing. So that's when it wasn't really putting a band together, but that was my first stepping up to the microphone and doing my thing. And all my local mates were telling me to do it or would set it up before I got there, that I was coming and he wants to jam now.
Okay, all you crazy kids out there, this is Crazy Cavan and the Rhythm Rockers, and you are tuned to Rockabilly and Blues Radio with your host, James Riley. Now let's get real gone.
Hey, Mr. Taylor, don't get cute. I want me a teddy boy suit. Hot blue jacket with a velvet cup. You better work faster or might get rough, 'cause I'm the wildest kid in town. He the wildest kid in town. Ain't nobody gonna put me down. Well, I'm rocking this daddy around. Well, I got a girl that's just in the tees. Can't take a rockin' in my old blue jeans. Get this teal and I'll get this white. I want that suit for a Saturday night, 'cause I'm the wildest kid in town. Yeah, the wildest kid in town. Ain't nobody gonna put me down. Well, I'm rocking this daddy around. Let the jacket hang. I gotta look cool when I'm with the gang. Walk down the street, people step aside. 6 feet tall and 5 feet wide, 'cause I'm the wildest kid in town. He the wildest kid in town. Ain't nobody gonna put me down. Well, I'm rocking this daddy around. cute. One wanted me a teddy boy suit. Find a blue jacket with a velvet cup. You better work faster or I might give up. Cause I'm the wildest kid in town. He the wildest kid in town. Ain't nobody gonna put me down. Well, I'm the rockin' his daddy you bound. Well, the wildest kid in town. He the wildest kid in town. Hey.
Another request from Levi Dexter. That's Crazy Cavan and the Rhythm Rockers with Wildest Cat in Town, right here on the Rockabilly and Blues Radio Hour. Now, Levi talked about the Teddy Boys, or the Teds, as they were also known, and he defined what that means.
As a Teddy Boy, it was very strict rules. Not so much nowadays, but back then, the rules were you wore a draped coat, you wore creepers, you greased your hair. Most importantly, you did not listen to any music after 1960. So 59, the 50s is where it ends. You didn't listen to this was like the twist and all that and surf and all that. That was out and considered square.
Yeah.
Everything is in rock and roll. You know, it overlapped with doo-wop. You know, obviously in the early 60s, doo-wop had some great stuff which was accepted in. But just about everything that you heard was 50s. You know, it's very specialized. And it was all about respect for the 50s. I mean, if you said anything bad about the 50s or Elvis, it was just immediately trouble.
Yeah, so that's interesting.
We were pretty much in the early 70s, mid-70s, we were the defenders of rock and roll lifestyle then. And people knew it. They knew that when they saw Teddy Boys coming down the street, they were into the 50s and not to mess with them. And, you know, you had to get your respect.
Yeah. No, were some of those artists that started in the 50s, were they kind of grandfathered in? I mean, like, you know, Elvis, were some of the 60s music of Elvis or Jerry Lee Lewis or some others, was that accepted because they started in the 50s? Okay.
Because they were 50s artists.
Yeah.
You know, particularly Jerry Lee Lewis was still knocking out some really good tracks and actually had some, you know, top 30 hits in the 70s. Yeah. And Chuck Berry did the London sessions, and he played some of that. But normally they would stick to the originals. But if you were an artist, a rock and roll artist from the 50s, you were given some leeway. You weren't excluded. Yeah. It's just if you, like all the Mersey beat, you know, the Beatles and every other band that came from Liverpool, out and out considered, we don't play that. Yeah. You know, all the twist, the surf, the garage, and radio stuff is just like that belongs somewhere else. Hey, this is Levi Dexter, and you're listening to the Rockabilly and Blues Hour with Jammin' James Riley. Tune in and rock out.
Some time ago, the Rockabilly hour, the way you lay down a beat. You just won't stop, you sure can rock, and the sound is really neat. So I strolled on down to the local dance, see what I could see. He had a lopsided smile in his own little style, he ain't like you and me. Rockabilly, I don't sing me a song. Rockabilly, I well, he's real gone. Knows where it's at, real cool cat, singing loud and singing it long. Now things are getting cool for the Rockabilly, I'm beginning to make a name. He's got his hair combed back, he's on black shellac, he owns a hard and every day. I saw the kid on TV last night, really laying it down. He was cool for sure, he's on a U.S. tour, but doing nothing every town. Rockabilly Idol, sing me a song. Rockabilly Idol, he's real gone. Knows where it's at, real cool cat, singing it loud and singing it loud. Rock on, boy! Everything's cool for the Rockabilly Idol. If you're in a record shop, a real gone guy, you know why? The music just never stops.